Monster Cat Podcast.
Biggest joke you've ever smoked.
Taking you on a journey. This is Monster Cat.
Welcome to a special edition of the Monster Cat Podcast. For today's episode, we've put together some of the spookiest tracks we've released in the past. So follow us, if you dare.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Collegiate Star League's Fall Hearthstone season. It's brought to you by Blizzard and Twitch. I'm Nomo Dogan, and casting with me tonight will be Lucia.
Good evening, everyone. How are you, Nomo Dogan?
I'm doing pretty good tonight. How are you, Lucia?
I am good.
Good to hear.
So, first series we have for you today will be New York University's Violet Teachers versus St. John's University Red Storm. Now, first thing I have to say, these two teams have actual team names.
Yeah, I was pretty excited once I first saw that. I mean, the Violet Teachers, that's pretty cool. Plus Red Storm, I guess that's inspired by I mean, I don't know, I was thinking the Red Cross, like Red Storm, St. John's University. I don't know.
Alright.
But yeah, it should be an interesting matchup here.
Yeah, we've seen St. John's University play previously, and as you guys may know, we do have Phone Tap on that team. Once again, he has opted to just kind of chill, take on a coordinator role, maybe talk about, strategy with his team, but opting not to play once again.
All right, looks like we are getting in the first game here. We're going to have Eclipse on Hunter versus a Sumerian on Druid.
Yeah, and once again, just to remind you guys of the format, in case you forgot or it is your first time here, it is a best of 5. Each player gets to play once according to the lineup that I totally didn't show you today, but that's okay. You'll get to see it later. And right now. So in this case, each team is allowed to play each class only once, whether they win or lose. So after this game, New York University will no longer be able to play Hunter, and St. John's will no longer be able to play Druid.
Right. Now, the matchup here, Hunter versus Druid, traditionally, it tends to be in the Hunter's favor because they can get some tempo early on, pressure the Druid with some damage, and close out the game with their high burst towards the mid or late game. But then again, Druid can definitely fight, especially if they have some early ramp cards and Keeper of the Grove and other ways to contest early board control.
Alright, Leopard Gnome comes down for Eclipse. Pretty good start so far. He's got the Knife Juggler and Wolf Rider to follow. Has 3 turns to draw into something for turn 4, so definitely not too worried here. For Sumerian though, no wild growth effects to start. He's got a Wrath, not really something you want to be using on a Leopard Gnome. You could use it for the knife, but really you're hoping for that wild growth effect and maybe using that Keeper to kill off the Knife Juggler.
Looks like a Sumerian's going to go with the coin into Hero Power or Wrath. It's kind of a tough choice.
Okay, good. He has to use the Hero Power because he knows, there's other threats that could come out that have 2 or 3 health. You've got the Knife Juggler, you've got Huffer when that potentially shows up, so you generally, if you can, don't want to waste something like that. Unless you really need the card draw, which, he kind of does, but he also kind of needs to save it to, have the ability to do 2 or 3 damage.
Yeah, he could have used the Wrath to cycle in hopes to find some other ramp card, but then again, this Knife Juggler would have been left in play, whereas this turn he gets to just Wrath it off, so ends up being fine. Draws a Darnassus Aspirant, which I would say is a solid draw, even though it's going to be on turn 3. That's still a nice element of ramp that he can put into play, and even though a Wolf Rider can trade into it, I think as the Druid player you'd be happy with the Wolf Rider trading into it.
Yeah, so here's the thing. Would you have just... because I was thinking maybe just playing the Darnassus last turn, right? As opposed to the Knife Juggle. You're not afraid of juggles really killing off the Darnassus. It's whether your opponent wants to trade in the Knife, the Wolf Rider, or an Eaglehorn Bow. And, I think that's reasonable either way.
Yeah, I mean, going for the Darnassus Aspirant, an Eaglehorn Bow could be pretty punishing, because then the Knife Juggler would stand to play. But it was just an interesting choice. I mean, the Wrath worked out okay. He drew an Innervate for this Keeper to kill the Wolf Rider, which is fine. I mean, nothing too exceptional going on here. I just think it's a pretty even game at this point, and Isomarian is going to hopefully draw some other early game cards to stabilize. He does have a swipe, which is nice. He would just like to find another mid-game 5 mana, 4 mana card, I think.
So the knife juggle doesn't hit on the keeper. I don't think it really matters. You're probably going to use the swipe, possibly.
I kind of like the Darnassus Aspirant here, especially if you kill off the Knife Juggler with the Keeper, because then there's no way for your Darnassus Aspirant to die on board. So there's a good chance you'll be able to play Theresen next turn.
Yeah. Actually, yeah, so, sorry, misspoke. Leaving, the knife not hitting the keeper worked out for him. Leaves his keeper at 2-1 instead of having to trade into the knife. So.
Right. So now Eclipse has got to decide here to play this Wolf Rider and kill off the Darnassus Aspirant, or maybe kill Commanded or something like that. As a Face Hunter player, you don't really want to be doing that, I think. I would kind of like to see him keep on pressing his aggression and ignoring the Darnassus Aspirant, Wolf Rider hit face, and hero power. Because when you're playing against the Druid, usually they're 5/6s, like 4s, 5/6s. They're all pretty similar. So keeping him off of 6 mana instead of 5, I don't think is too big of a deal. Although we know that a Sumerian has Emperor Theresen in his hand. Eclipse doesn't know that, and you're just a face hunter. You can't really go wrong by just going straight face, I think. So.
Yeah, I mean, it does make the difference between allowing your opponent to swipe and allowing your opponent to swipe plus hero power.
Mm-hmm.
Potentially if he wanted to swipe you in the face, but honestly at this point, Druid's not really... He's not going to care about that extra 3 face damage, right? So.
Yep, looks like it's going to be the Emperor Theresen here. I like this choice from a Sumerian. Trades off that Darnassus Aspirant into the Mad Scientist. Definitely something you want to do there to maintain your life total.
An explosive trap being pulled, and, you know, basically what you expect here as a phase hunter. So there won't be any, you know, he doesn't have to worry about, you know, killing off the Darnassus in case it's a freezing trap, and then his opponent gets ramp for free.
Yep. A Sumerian is going to attack in here. I think that's... well, he does have to get the clock going, so he wants to be able to pressure. He's got Ancient of Lore for some healing. Even though the bow does get a charge, the Theresen stayed in play, so his cards are going to get discounted again, which could really make a big difference here, because a Savage Roar drawn next turn means that a Sumerian will have combo, and there's a very high chance that that'll be lethal.
Yeah, that'd be 14 plus what he has on board, which is already 10 without even the Savage.
Mm-hmm.
Does he have enough here? That's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Fortunately, that's only 12 damage.
Yep, I count the same. Doesn't quite have enough mana to use the hero power after that either, which is something you definitely want to weave in during these turns as a hunter player. You want to weave in those extra hero powers because that damage could really matter when it comes to closing out these kind of games. You've already seen one Ancient of Lore. Usually the only healing that Druids have in their deck are their 2 Ancient of Lores, so as Eclipse here, you want to decide what the best way is to guarantee that you'll be able to kill your opponent next turn.
Agreed. I think, yeah, being able to keep him off of killing you with combo, right, and being able to kill him next turn, I think is sort of the 2 things you're trying to do here. And
right.
With that, that would be 3, 4, 5. He's got 5 damage for sure on his opponent next turn.
Mm-hmm.
Unless a Sumerian can pull out a taunt. So...
Wow, and we see that trade did pay off for Eclipse there. Drawn off the top was the Savage Roar. So Eclipse definitely realizing that the combo was a very legitimate threat with Theresen being in play for 2 turns. He knows that there's going to be cards discounted. He knows that that's going to be a lot of damage. And even though he doesn't quite set up for lethal on this turn, he did buy himself another turn by dealing with that Theresen.
Yeah, actually, he's in a pretty precarious position himself.
Mhm. Looks like he's gonna have to draw some damage here, or else it's gonna be game.
Yeah.
Kill command, quick shot, unleash the hounds. Those are just a few. Ooh, it's the haunted creeper. Unfortunately, we already know that Asumerian has a combo in hand. Um, so yeah, I mean, there's a few different things you could draw on Eclipse's side there, or maybe even an Arcane Golem. I forgot to mention that.
That is
Both Wolf
true.
Riders were already played, so those are kind of out of the question. It couldn't have
Leroy
been a weapon either.
Jenkins.
Leroy Jenkins for sure. Um, but wow, looks like that's gonna be game.
Indeed. Hunter versus Druid. Hunter just has to keep racing, but it's sort of like the only thing that can, I don't really want to say outrace Hunter per se, but, sort of pull out that surprise damage and just get the Hunter down is the Druid. And, of course, having the lore earlier on as well, just to get that little bit of healing, survive just the extra turn, and make it through. So, first game going over to Eclipse, starting it off for the Violet Teachers from New York University.
It went over to a Sumerian, right? The Druid player.
Oh, sorry. Yes, you are.
Yeah, no
right.
worries, no worries. Just
Oh my
want to make
gosh.
sure we got this right.
Yes, you got this. You got it right. Okay, not we got it right. Go ahead this way.
No problem, though. No problem. So it looks like our next game is going to be between Kenstay and Winston Jacom. We're going to get that started momentarily. But yeah, definitely an interesting matchup there between Hunter and Druid. The Hunter player didn't quite have enough damage. Maybe if he weaved in a hero power earlier on or something like that. We did see that a Sumerian ended up at 2 health, which is a very sad feeling. It's not quite as bad as your opponent ending up at 1 health, but your opponent ending up at 2 health is definitely a bad feeling as a Hunter player. Maybe he'll go back and look at a review of that game and see if there is any way he could have weaved in some extra damage.
Yeah, I think maybe just that turn with the Unleash the Hounds and
Unleash, Kill Command, Abusive Sergeant.
yeah.
Yeah, he used all of his mana on those cards that turn. But then again, using your Unleash and Kill Command, like it's very hard to use any of those cards without using
Well,
all of the other.
actually, here's the thing, right? What if he just put his face into the Ancient of Lore? That's a 5/3. Would he have? Right? Would he be too low on health? He had 24. He puts his face in. He's at 19. Then, unfortunately, combo would already kill him.
Yeah, he would have died immediately. So yeah, it was a tough call.
Let's see. Kill command onto that. Saving the hounds doesn't really work. Yeah, there's unfortunately nothing I think he could have really done there.
Yeah, that's just the way it panned out. Looks like we're gonna have Kenstay on Druid versus Winston Jacom on Priest. Another classic matchup. This usually favors the Priest, I think, depending on the list. But then again, Druid can do Druid things. It can ramp up. It can combo early on and finish off the Priest before the Priest has time to stabilize. Not sure if this is Dragon Priest yet. I don't think we saw any clear indicators in Winston's opening hand.
Well, actually, a zombie chow sort of is a...
Makes it less likely, right?
Yeah.
Because usually you'd have Twilight Wealth. That's true, that's true.
It's interesting, too. I don't think I've seen a non-Dragon Priest in a long time. And he's also running a list with both Death and Pain, so I guess more of a classic Priest, you're just focused on answering all of your opponent's... I was answering responses, but doesn't make sense.
Answering
your
like their
opponent's
threats.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's the word I'm looking for. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely. The second Zombie Chow here, these are not exactly what you want against Druid. I mean, if you're against like Zoo or Face Hunter, you'd be happy with this. You'd be like, oh, this is awesome. But against Druid, I mean, zombie chows usually don't get that much value. Maybe they do a couple of damage to a bigger threat and work together as a team to kill it off, but on their
Zombie
own,
chow
they,
team. Hey,
yeah, they don't
zombies always come
accomplish
in
much.
armies, right? So I
I
think
guess
that's
that's
fair.
true, yeah.
Look at
The
that.
villain's chosen gonna make one of the zombie chows a bit more useful, though.
Just marginally. I mean, Druid is still within range of being healed up by the two chows. So we're gonna have to wait and see. At the current point, I would say the chows have not technically done anything useful yet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they've done a bit of damage. I mean, but yeah, it's assumed that it'll be healed up at some point. Although, if a Keeper of the Grove is drawn for Kensei next turn, that would be nice on this 4/7 Zombie Chow because 4/7 is a pretty big body. Druids tend to have a difficult time dealing with large minions because they don't really have any spot removal besides something like Big Game Hunter, which
Oh
has very
wow.
few things it can hit. He does opt to just
He's
Savage Roar and trade this Shade. Interesting choice there. I mean, it does leave him to curve out. Maybe he was scared of some kind of like Akanai Soul Priest combo, something like that.
It'd be
Could
very
potentially do a
hard
lot
to
of
kill
burst damage.
off the zombie chow. That would be the chow that wouldn't be killed off, right? Because he would have 7 health. The other
Mhm.
zombie chow would get killed off, so...
But then again, if something like Akanai did come down, I mean, it's not that common these days either. So I guess it's just, he wanted to deal with that 4/7 because if he didn't, and he goes to play this Shredder, it would probably be cleaned up pretty easily.
Yeah,
So I
that's
can't.
fair. He's just trying to clear out the board so he can play out other things, and this way, the Shredder has some room, but another Velen's getting picked up here.
Yeah, it's especially strong on a Northshire Cleric. Ooh, Lorewalker Cho.
Oh,
This
I'd leave
is.
that. I'd leave that for now, right? You can
Mhm.
always kill it off before you have to play your guys, right? So,
Yeah. You can also just, let's say all of your guys are full health, you have Northshire in play. You can also just hit the Lorewalker Cho to have something to heal to draw. I'd say
oh,
Lorewalker Cho
that's
is,
true.
is definitely a bigger drawback for the excuse me, the priest player. But then again, he can use it to his advantage because of that interaction.
I mean, the thing is,
Just
he can always wait, right? He's like, do I wanna, do something with it
yeah,
now?
it's at his disposal as well. Even though it's worse for the priest player, he's the one deciding whether or not to kill it off. So, got an interesting choice here. I personally like just playing the Sylvanas Windrunner.
Yeah, it is very strong. Alternatively, I suppose he could play the Death Lord out.
Then again, considering Druids do have swipe, and as I see the swipe in Kensei's hand, he does have spell damage on board. So if he leaves this board as it is, he swipes the Northshire Cleric, clears the Zombie Chow with hero power, and then he can simply trade in his Azure Drake to the Sylvanas if he wants to, and then the Sylvanas will steal the Lorewalker Cho. And the
Oh, and
priest, the priest
yeah.
does not want to have the Lorewalker Cho on his side because he's got these nice spells in his hand that he's obviously
Well, he'll
not going
get a
to want
swipe.
to
Oh,
play.
so he can swipe, return the swipe, and get rid of the. Oh no, he can't kill the Lore Walker with swipe.
Well, that's a good
So
point. He would get a swipe. So yeah, maybe Winston has already considered this swipe line of play, and he's like, "Oh, my opponent has a Cho in play anyway. It's fine if he wants to make that play and give me a swipe." So maybe he's already considered that. Also, looking at the life totals, uh, Kenstei's already at 14 HP here. So Priest usually doesn't have a lot of burst, and I guess that Zombie Chow's in play as well, so he'll get some healing off of that. But you do kind of have to be aware of where your life total is at.
yeah, you do need to be careful here, but trading in and giving him the Lore Walker, I think, is a pretty decent thing. And here he can use the Zombie Chow to heal up as well. So just 10 health below his opponent, sitting at 18. It's not too bad, and this Lore Walker is going to be a bit of a headache here for Winston.
Yep. Does decide to swap it over, He's like, hey, Winston, you can have this. You can have this Lore Walker Cho if you so desire. And Winston's probably not too happy about having that Lore Walker on his side because I doubt Kenstei is going to ever kill it.
Well,
already passing off a power
kind
shield.
of can't, even if he wanted to, so...
That is true. Wow, Ragnaros the Fire Lord drawn for Winston. This is a card that used to be really popular in a lot of different decks, but has definitely lost that popularity that it used to have. A lot more win conditions have been introduced into the game, such as Dr. Boom and other cards like that. So Ragnaros has lost some favor, but Ragnaros has always been one of those powerhouse cards against Druid, though. Unless they have the BGH, it is just a nightmare as a Druid player to deal with a Ragnaros because, it comes into play. It probably kills something, maybe not. Maybe it just hits your face for 8, but then again, 8 damage is a lot. And then you have to use multiple cards to deal with it in a lot of circumstances, so it's a big headache, and I like Winston's decision to just play it here.
And, yeah, pretty much you have to go face, no point to, ooh.
Yep.
So Ragnaros hits phase, the Thorson stays alive for another turn. He's got 2 Druid of the Claws. He's got Force, but no Savage Roar. He's got a Wrath as well, but he has to remember, right? If he doesn't kill off his opponent, then he can't really combo or use Wrath. He'll just hand them to his opponent. So I think either the Azure Drake or the double Druid of the Claw would have to be the play this turn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you definitely don't really want to use spells, but... Wow, Darkness's Aspirant is definitely not what you want to see off of the Death Lord.
Yeah, I think that has to be the worst one, right? There's nothing, at 1 mana.
That is a pretty unfortunate result. Probably the worst result.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Alright, yep, he's got to play this taunt here, and is there any way for Winston to guarantee lethal? He's got a lot of spells and a Pyromancer. Can he guarantee lethal?
A swipe. He can death the Thorson. He'll have to swipe and...
He has to take
so he death.
This is going to kill off his Pyromancer, though, if he doesn't heal it. But he doesn't have enough mana to Pain.
Yeah, swipe. This is because the swipe plus that.
Yep.
What a crazy.
Yep, Winston's got it figured out.
Yeah.
Lore Walker Cho didn't deter him there. Ragnaros the Fire Lord. I think an MVP of that game right there. As I was saying, it fell out of popularity, fell out of favor. And we're seeing it make a return here in Winston's Priest deck. Taking the win. That's going to be a 2-0 lead for Red Storm.
That was definitely a very fun game, We've seen some Priests being played, but like I said, they're always Dragon Priests. So it's really cool to see, someone bring in a classic Priest and it working out nicely with a, very clean and clever kind of, it's one of those puzzles, like guarantee lethal for yourself, kind of situations. And Winston, he got it. Probably, I would expect him to be a pretty solid Priest player, like generally people don't just pull out Priest. It's something that you have to kind of know. You have to know, like, when it's okay to play your deaths, your pains, when is it worth it, that sort of thing. So yeah, Winston getting that second win, and his team is now up 2-0.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
oh, wait,
pretty good start. Yeah, they're up 2-0.
Okay, yes. I keep thinking the Hunter won. Why do I keep thinking the Hunter won?
I mean, that's what everybody wants, isn't it? We all want the Hunters to win. Smork. Shout out to Smork. Somewhere out there.
So we've got Rain and Dino Sam up next. Rain, will he be able to take the first game for his team so that we can get New York University on the board, make at least ensure that it's not a clean swipe. And Dino Sam now up. He can either close it out for his team, tell Wachowski and Johnny Boy to go home. Their services are not required today. Or, even if he loses, it's okay. He's got 2 more teammates up that could win the game. Now, Rain actually, looking at here, he's ranked 37 at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's going to be a pretty formidable opponent here for Dino Sam.
Yeah, definitely. He's all the way up there in legend, so he's obviously put some time into that. He's got to have some idea of what he's doing for sure. And yeah, it would be pretty scary to add your opponent, and see that they're pretty high ranked. So yeah, hopefully we can get into this very soon. Looks like they are about to get started. We'll see what matchup this brings. All right, it looks like the players are in game.
Oh no. It's a Paladin mirror matchup. Although so far I haven't seen any secrets from Rain yet. I'm hoping it's gonna stay that way. I see a Quartermaster, so it's promising.
Yep, I haven't seen any secrets from Dino Sam either. Rain bringing out the well met at the start. Well played. Responded from Dino Sam. Interesting banter going on so far. What does it mean? He didn't respond with the well met number 2. Does he think it's already over? Is he saying, hey, this is our game right here. You guys are about to get 3-0'd. Well played. It's over.
I like it.
Maybe some confidence there. Anyways, we did start out with a Zombie Chow from Dino Sam into a shielded minibot from Rain. Looks like Dino Sam is deciding whether or not he plays a shielded minibot or coining out Muster for Battle. Muster for Battle would deal with this shielded minibot, assuming he attacks it with a Zombie Chow. And you would get a few 1-1s in play, which it would be a little while before Rain would be able to effectively deal with them with something like Consecration. But then
I
again,
like the Muster, like you mentioned. You do use up the coin, but it is a very nice clear.
Yeah, it looks solid to me. He might be considering whether or not Rain has his own Muster, but then again, I don't think that's too bad because you're the one with the first Muster in play. You can use your weapon to deal with his. It's kind of an even trade, but you also deal with his 2-drop with your 1-drop and a little bit, like your coin and a little bit from your 3-drop, like the Light's Justice charge, which is not a big deal.
And looks like he does indeed decide for that play. And yeah.
I think I would kind of like to see him kill a 1-1 here because right now this is only healing for 2. He could have potentially healed for more if he kills a 1-1.
Right, and there's there's no Quartermaster yet, but if
you just saw the coin, I think a little bit of a misplay there, but probably not too big of a deal. As the second shielded minibot does come out from Dino Sam, or sorry, second shielded minibot of the game. It isn't his second shielded minibot, but yeah, a bit of an unfortunate situation here. Rain just played his Muster for Battle, and he's got 2 Quartermasters sitting in his hand, and all the dudes are already dead. So, not a good feeling there. Because you definitely don't want to just play a 5-mana 2/5. I mean, you might have to in this situation, but it's not what you're looking for with that card being in your deck.
Yeah, I think you have to hit the shielded mini bot here.
I agree.
You
It's
know,
just
with
it's
blessings next turn, with lots of things, you just don't really want that divine
mhm.
shield hanging out.
It's also just a valuable trade to just use your divine shield to kill the knife juggler instead of trading the mini bot itself.
Hmm.
So, yep, definitely a good choice there, I think. Dino Sam draws a piloted shredder off the top. Looks like a very solid play for this turn. Previously, he only had Murloc Knight, but definitely have to live in fear of True Silver Champion, I think, and piloted shredder does respect a True Silver Champion.
This is really nice for Dino Sam. He's got the shredder this turn. Next turn, he can play the cog hammer if he wants it, plus hero power, or you know, gets another mini bot or something. But you know, with the shredder, chances are he's gonna have a minion left on the board to cog, and then turn 6, he can play the Murloc Knight, and you know, chances are it doesn't even die immediately.
Hmm. Seems like he's actually considering the chances of a true silver champion there. I think he really was weighing his options between Murloc Knight and piloted shredder.
There's no
Uh,
reason. I mean, if he didn't have another uh, 4-drop, right? If he only had 3 drops, if he only had a 2-drop plus hero power, but Shredder is just such a solid 4-drop. I don't really think, you know, there's any reason you want to just risk it, especially against a paladin. Like,
yeah.
come on, they're gonna have a true silver champion.
Hmm. But maybe he was thinking about something like along the lines of using his Coghammer next turn to protect the Murloc Knight, but I think you can do that in the long run anyway.
It could also
Um,
land on the Murloc Knight, so
yeah.
you know, there's no guarantees whatsoever.
Hmm. So yeah, this leads into a good turn 5, whether he wants to Coghammer Hero Power or Aldor Peacekeeper Hero Power. Two very solid options for Dino Sam next turn. Whereas Rain is in a bit of trouble here, I would say. Not the cleanest turn. Any of his cards in his hand right now are just a little too awkward.
Tempo Quartermaster?
Even then, it doesn't gain too much tempo because Shredder can clear it without even dying. Shredder plus the weapon,
Right.
but hmm. Wild Pyromancer, probably not what you want to see. I mean, I guess you're not really going to be playing any spells. I mean, I guess it's a 3-2, right?
Yeah, I
It's
think
just
it's
3-2.
fine, right? Unless he was going to play anything, I don't think it's an issue. So I think here you just, yeah, you make... It depends on whether you want that on the Pyromancer, which I guess that's what he wanted, because otherwise you want to make your dude first so that there's a higher chance of it landing on your dude.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
yeah, because, you know, your opponent likely will be using his weapon to clear it off. So, you know, he'll have to take more damage that way. On the
Mhm.
other hand, you know, like an owl, it would be better onto the Pyromancer. But,
Right.
you know, you playing a Paladin matchup, like, an owl needs to go on a Tyrian and at least go on a Murloc Knight, so he's
Mhm.
not too worried about that happening.
But, I mean, do you really have that much time right now to be thinking, that far ahead to Tyrion? Because Dino Sam's already got a decent amount of damage, and Rain doesn't. I mean, I guess he's got Consecration, but you don't really want to use that right now. This is another perplexing turn. Definitely not where you want to be in this matchup.
Well, he doesn't know, right? His opponent could have a Quartermaster, so I think this is enough, guys, that you're gonna consecrate.
Hmm.
But
Yep.
it was more just, you know, do you use the owl? And I guess the answer is no here.
Yeah. I think this is definitely reasonable. Next turn, you can follow up with make a dude, play Quartermaster. There's a decent chance that you make 2/3/3s off of your Quartermaster. Or I guess never mind. There's a Cockhammer in play. That one was gonna die. I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure. Yeah. Haven't seen any Quartermasters yet. Murloc Knight does come into play here for Dino Sam. A really strong turn 6 play. He's probably pretty happy he saved it after seeing that True Silver Champion. I know I would be.
Indeed. And here's that situation where you could consider the owl. He's got enough to play a dude, Coghammer, and owl, or he could play the Zombie Chow, Coghammer, and Owl.
Hmm.
Which looks to be what he's going for here. Silence the Murloc Knight, and then he can kill off the Tidehunter.
Yeah, I kind of like
Actually,
Coghammering the Zombie
kill-
Chow.
Yeah, I think killing the 1/1 is okay, right? Because your opponent needs to use...
It's pretty much the same outcome. Like, assuming everything happens the way you see it on board, then it's kind
Yeah,
of...
if your 2/1 gets cleared, then it's the same, right? If the Tidehunter was going face, it'd be different, but...
Yeah, basically he's hoping to end up taking one less damage like by making that play. So, yep.
Those poor quartermasters, though.
Yeah, very unfortunate that muster for muster pretty much happened earlier on in the game when one of the players has quartermaster or two quartermasters in his hand and the other has none. You're definitely pretty happy being on the side that has none. At this point, I mean, Dino Sam has got to be thinking like, wow, what is in his hand? With the plays that Rain has made, they have been pretty lackluster, so...
If that was a muster, that's probably... Well, actually, there's 12 damage showing at the moment.
Plus knives, yeah.
So...
Any knives can be
I
generated.
was gonna say, a muster quartermaster here, probably one of the only ways for him to get back into the game. He can kill the knife, so the knives, so to speak, would not be an issue.
Yep, that's true.
At this point,
I think you gotta,
or something, right?
yeah, one of the 3 health guys. It doesn't really matter. I mean, if you're thinking your opponent has youthful brewmaster, I guess it's technically better to Aldor the Aldor, but
Aldor
he
the
probably
Aldor.
doesn't have it. Yeah.
It's like, follow the rules. No, you follow the rules.
Yeah, I know, right? Like, man, this guy's got to get it together.
Tempo quartermaster, I'm telling you, it's happening.
He kind of has to, but as we know, Dino Sam does have lethal. Ooh, throwing down the owl. So as we said earlier, Dino Sam did come into this game with confidence. He's gonna take
actually, yeah, I would have owled the Murloc Knight because he still had 2 mana left. He could hero power.
Well, you can't silence.
Wait, no. Ah, man. What was I thinking?
Yeah, it's
Come
okay.
on, that would be so cool. I honestly think there needs to be like a resume original state kind of ability.
An unsilence.
Not an unsilence is not quite the right thing, right? Because then there's other things like what happens if an Aldor is piled on top of that. So I think it's just sort of a reset to original state. I guess there's reincarnation from Shaman.
Yeah, just something that removes it from the board and brings it back in its original state. Yeah, there are things like that in other card games.
Alright, so we're going to go ahead and take a quick break. Looks like Dino Sam managed to pull it out for his team, was not intimidated at all by the top 50 rank there from Rain. Gonna take that game, and that will be it. St. John University taking the series 3-0. The Red Storm. Okay, so their team name is Red Storm, right? And the last guy you put up to bat is Rain. I mean, I think Red Storm as a whole would beat Rain, right?
I mean, I guess so.
It's a stretch? It's a bit of a stretch.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you really think about it, sure, yeah.
Alright, we're going to take a quick break, and when we are back, our second series for the night. Once again, of course, an interstate rivalry, and not only that, they are actually from the same series of universities. I don't know what the term is here. Series? The same... Not school of universities, but University of California, Santa Cruz, the Banana Slugs coming back once again, going to be up against University of California, Berkeley. So, quick break. don't go anywhere.
Listening to a Halloween edition of the Monster Cat podcast.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Collegiate Star League's Fall Hearthstone season, brought to you by Blizzard and Twitch. Once again, I'm Nomo Dogan, and I'm still casting here with Lucia.
You sound so disappointed.
I mean, I don't know. Like, one time you
don't
mentioned
know.
that we are still, like, we're still casting together. It hasn't changed. Like, I don't know. That was a while ago, but you mentioned it, and I was like, all right, let's just say we're still.
Forever a grudge.
Not really. I mean, I think things have been going pretty good during these games. Casting has been going well. So, yeah, our second match of the night here is the University of California, Santa Cruz, Banana Slugs versus the University of California, Berkeley, Goldfur Grizzlies. Once again, we have teams with some awesome names. We've had the Banana Slugs here before, a couple times on stream. Should be exciting to see what they bring back, and hopefully they can break their sad streak that they've had so far. Hopefully they can score a win tonight. I'm personally cheering for them. Also because I just love the team name Banana Slugs. Whoever came up with that is a genius. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. What do you think, Lucia?
Well, I was going to cheer for the Banana Slugs, but they decided to start off with a secret paladin, so I don't know how I feel about this anymore.
All right. I guess that kind of makes sense. So, looks like we are going to be getting into the first game. We'll see what the players have in store for us here. It's going to be Wandering Penny on Paladin versus Red Ice Cream playing Mage.
Oh man. All these little drops here for Wandering Penny starting off, and that Secret Keeper getting out of control. And he's
Yeah,
just gonna go face. He doesn't even care.
I think that's a good choice. I mean, you've got this noble sacrifice in play. You've got this monstrous secret keeper that you don't want to be damaged because of things like Frostbolt. Let's see what that avenge hits. Either target's really good here. Yeah, I mean, you can't really complain. You got a 6/6 on turn 3. Okay, like this thing costs you 1 mana. You know, I guess you put these other secrets in play, which normally wouldn't be amazing, but they've done
Oh
pretty
my
well this
god.
game.
Oh my god. I mean, with
Now this
this,
this is gonna be a big secret keeper. But this wasn't just a 1 mana card. Like it was an initial investment of 1 mana, right? But you have the secrets that you play on top of it, and if it had died at the beginning, it would have been pretty unimpressive. But now that the secret keeper has survived and the avenge has gone onto the secret keeper, it's just massive. So it seems to me like Red Ice Cream is playing a Freeze Mage deck, which generally is pretty favored against aggro decks, even Secret Paladin. But this start from Secret Paladin has just been really strong so far. Ends up having to use a Frostbolt on a Secret Keeper, which is definitely not something you want to be doing. But then again, a little payoff on the side here as Redemption brings back a small 1/1. Definitely not what you want to get off your Redemption as the Paladin player. Doomsayer does come down as well for Red Ice Cream, and Wandering Penny doesn't have a great way to deal with it. Skips a second draw of Acolyte, but does clear the board and can take a breath of relief here as the pressure has subsided, at least for a moment.
and looks like Red Ice Cream going to do his first point of damage to Wandering Penny this game.
Indeed. Later in the game, there's a good chance that this Alexstrasza will just be used to heal himself rather than damage his opponent, but we'll have to find out as the game goes on.
You know, he had the option of playing the Repentance and of Redemption. I'm wondering if he should have done that because, chances are... Ooh, never mind. This Repentance gets to go on a Dorson instead, so hey. Technically, he had the True Silver, so would have been okay, but...
Yeah, but that Theresen was pretty top-notch. He's got Alexstrasza, Flamestrike, Blizzard, Frostbolt, Fireball. He's got a lot of pretty strong cards to get discounted. You just gotta make sure he can handle this pressure. Wandering Penny is kind of running out of steam at this point. Once this Mysterious Challenger and Haunted Creeper are dealt with, which aren't the easiest to deal with due to the secrets in play, but after that, Wandering Penny's down to a True Silver Champion and a Consecration, as well as whatever he might draw this turn, so a bit low on steam here. This is the kind of matchup where you definitely want to find a card like Divine Favor to refill your hand, and in this matchup it tends to draw 5 to 8 cards. It can draw a ton. So
yeah, and I think in North America not a lot of people run Divine Favor in their mid-range Paladin, whereas I think it's definitely a really good option. And similarly in Asia, I've seen a lot of times with mid-range Paladin, secret or otherwise, you just have that Divine Favor to help you refill your hand.
yeah, for sure. Alright, interesting. We've got a competitive Spirit here on a solid board. Can't really complain about that as a Paladin player, where usually competitive Spirit wouldn't do that great in this matchup. It's also pushing a lot of damage through. Popping this Ice Block would be a pretty big deal, but he doesn't have enough mana to play both the Consecration and the True Silver.
But he still has his board. I think that was the really biggest thing there.
Ooh, a Frost Nova could turn out to be something nice here. The True Silver Champion is a looming threat. The issue here is that if you Alexstrasza to heal yourself, you're just going to get your Ice Block popped anyway because of all these minions that are in play. I like this Flame Strike and possibly Frostbolt to keep up the Ice Block. Ooh, opts not to. He wants to save the Frostbolt for his Ice Lances, I think. But then again, losing your Ice Block can be a problem. It does cost a charge on a true Silver Champion, though, which is reasonable.
I mean, technically he could have mustered for the 1 damage and then consecrated to pop the block, but I don't think that's what he wants to be going for here.
Well, it might have been, especially with the Lights Justice that's going to be in play. But then again, at this point, you are kind of expecting something like Alexstrasza. Does come down here and gonna Frostbolt the Secret Keeper.
I mean,
Totally
this is
reasonable.
all good and well. Really, he just needs this Alex to stay up and do damage, which looks like it will be. No answer for it, which means Wandering Penny just has to keep pushing phase damage and hope for the best.
Yep. Definitely what he has to do here. The Freeze Mage, though, Red Ice Cream does have a couple of cards that can freeze, as well as an Ice Barrier. He's going to have plenty of time to find the damage to close out this game. We'll see if Wandering Penny can weave his way through these freezing spells and this Ice Barrier to gain some health. It's definitely going to be an uphill battle to win this. Even though with that insane start, Wandering Penny had a 7/7 Secret Keeper on turn 3. Like I was saying, Freeze Mage just does so good against these aggro decks. He got that successful Doomsayer. He had the means to stall for at least a little bit longer, even though he got to be really low. Alexstrasza to heal himself back up. Now he's got an Ice Barrier in play, another freeze mechanic, and you just got to find a bit more damage to close out this game.
Yeah, and this is really unfortunate as well for Wandering Penny. That Blessing of Kings would have been so great just a couple turns before, but now things are looking pretty dire.
Yeah,
I think you Blessings here, right? Because if he doesn't, he either clears it, and if he doesn't, that is 8 damage that you're preventing to your face.
Yeah. Red Ice Cream just playing with caution here. You never know if your opponent's gonna throw down a Blessing of Might into Blessed Champion to double the attack on your minion. You never know what's gonna happen. I like just healing up, fireballing off that guy, and just closing the game out in a
the
nice,
Divine
slow
Favor
manner.
finally shows up, but the value just isn't there anymore.
Yep, the time for that card has come and gone. It's only going to draw a couple here, and it's doubtful that it'll be enough to save Wandering Penny. Yep, just finds a Knife Juggler and a Blessing of Kings. Red Ice Cream doesn't have lethal yet. He's 1 damage off, but there's a good chance he can find the damage off of this next draw.
Yeah, unfortunately the time has passed for Wandering Penny to be able to win the game, so...
Yep.
The Frost Nova comes out. Yeah.
Yeah, I know I've played a lot of Freeze Mage lately to counter Secret Paladins, and the win rate has been really, really high. I'd say upwards of 90%, so... Yeah. It's very similar to Zoo, except it doesn't have the death rattles. It has these secrets instead, which Freeze Mage doesn't really care about, so...
Exactly.
Very effective there. All right, looks like that first game goes over to Red Ice Cream, the Freeze Mage player. That's going to be a win for Goldfur Grizzlies. They're gonna.
Here's a question: what flavor do you think Red Ice Cream is?
Red Ice Cream. I mean, I think of cherry vanilla personally because cherries are red. Cherry vanilla ice cream's pretty good.
That's a very sophisticated flavor, I have to say. Usually people would say strawberry or...
Yeah, strawberry too. I like strawberry ice cream, but that's more of a pink color. I don't really know.
Yeah, or there's red bean ice cream, right? But
I don't think I've had that
pulling
before.
out the cherry, you're just like, wow, this guy knows his ice creams, man. if you guys need ice cream flavor suggestions, tweet No Modogan.
Yeah, just let me know. I'm here for you guys and your ice cream selection needs, so... Looks like we're getting this next match ready to go.
Yep, It will be Raycon versus Novixian. Raycon has a... Yeah, Henry. I believe Henry is his name. We'll find out. Or I will find out, rather. Hopefully his opponent looks approximately... Yes, excellent. His opponent is Novixian.
Yep, and man, does this look familiar. We've got Raycon on Hunter versus Novixian and Druid. We saw this same matchup earlier tonight, but we also saw the Hunter being golden and the Druid was not golden. And the Druid won. So we'll see if that same thing happens here. And right off the bat, it seems like this is a better start than the Druid player had earlier, with Darnassus Aspirant on turn 2 and an Innervate on the following turn.
Not a bad start for the Hunter either. He has the Mad Scientist, and the Glaive-Zuka will allow him to trade the Mad Scientist into the Darnassus.
A very favorable trade there, I'd say. Happy to get that secret into play, take out the Druid player's Mana Crystal, and get a couple points of damage with the Glaive-Zuka.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing too is with the Darnassus out of the way, you're not afraid of getting a Freezing Trap out, right? Which is indeed what he has out. So against the Druid, that's pretty nice. You know, you usually get a big guy. If he innervates something out, it's like, sure, okay, but you're just gonna have to leave that there.
Yeah, definitely. Freezing Trap is a very potent card against Druid, like you said, because a lot of their minions do cost a decent amount of mana, like this Azure Drake here, and you would be happy to get it out of the way with something smaller, like Darnassus Aspirant, or in some cases, Zombie Chow. But yeah, interesting choice to go for the Drake there.
Huffer? That is not a Huffer.
Misha's still pretty solid, definitely better than Leok here, I think.
It's interesting that he opts not to use the weapon. There's a very low chance that he would equip the Eagle Horn next turn, but it's sort of like, you know, what is he hoping to do with 2 damage?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think it's an interesting choice to save it. You're probably playing the Piloted Shredder next turn no matter what, so you can decide on that turn. So I don't think there's too much harm in saving it. I guess you might be afraid of something. No, never mind. You couldn't Harrison Jones because Novixian was only on 4 mana. But I think it was okay to save it because it would end up doing the same thing this turn anyway, if he does attack. I think it would be a fine attack here. There's a decent chance you want to play your Eagle Horn Bow next turn. We'll see what Raycon decides to do.
Yeah, I think you have to Eagle Horn at that point. You know, even if your opponent plays something like a Druid of the Claw, you know, it's kind of, yes, okay, you know, you're saving a bow charge, but really it's just 1 damage being lost.
Right. Yeah, for sure. I like getting that Glaive-Zuka, that use out of it already. Weird turn for Novixian. Does he want to save one of these Wild Growths to draw, or does he just want to play both?
Double Wild Growth, Hero Power, and Darnassus into the Shredder.
Yeah, if you double Wild Growth, you're going to be on 9 mana next turn, then the following you're going to be on 10. If you only play 1 Wild Growth, you'll be on 8, then 9, then turn, then 10, excuse me. So that's a while before you'd be able to draw off that other one. But then again, just playing 2 might be a bit excessive, so I think this was a fine choice. And whoa, Nerevar Weblord, one of the more interesting cards from Shredder, as it makes this Azure Drake cost 9 now. The most overpriced Azure Drake I've ever seen. Besides when you have like a Venture Co. Mercenary out and a Nerevar Weblord or something, but wow. Savage Combatant's a solid draw here, I'd say. You could play it and Hero Power and kill the Huffer, but Ancient of War is also a decent choice. I think the issue that I have with this, though, is that once you play your taunt and it's dealt with, you have nothing to fall back on later when you really, really need to taunt. Like, I mean, if you play the Savage command and you get the Huffer out of the way now and deal with that, and then he uses whatever removal on your Savage command, then you have this Ancient of War later once your opponent has already used hopefully a piece of removal or something.
Yep.
And you could have a wall with it, but
I
playing it
agree.
now is totally fine. So
And I think also last turn, just a slight misplay as well. I think you should have traded the Darnassus in first. You know, maybe it was something that he wanted to kill off. Like if a 4-3 popped out, you know, he might have considered using hero power to kill that as opposed to... I guess he just wanted the wild growth because he knew he was killing off his own Darnassus and he really wanted to play the war next turn. But going the other way, you know, the spider guy, what is his name? The
Nerubar Weblord.
Yeah, I was like, I wanted to call him a Nerubian, but it's a Nerubar Weblord. It didn't matter, but let's say it came out with like a 4-3, like a Wrathguard or whatever. He might have wanted to hero power that, right? And then the next turn having the Savage and hero power to clear off the Huffer. And then the following turn, like you said, then playing the Ancient of War, and I think that would have worked out pretty well.
Mm-hmm. Wow, guys, for the Azure Drake here does draw an Innervate, which I think is pretty good. I mean, being able to swipe face, that 5 damage, you know, it'll probably matter, but mainly just killing off this Arcane Golem. Getting this 4-4 in play is really solid. Loatheb, a powerful draw here. I would definitely like to see that come into play. Mainly because it's a 5-5 body, but it'll also prevent this wild growth draw from happening. Looks like he opts for the higher immediate damage play, which I don't like as much because it doesn't set up for lethal next turn. You know, like you're going to have this bow on 1 charge and this creeper in play. I would have liked to see the Loatheb, but I can see, you know, some reasons behind this play. You know, you get this creeper out, you'll be able to deal with the Azure Drake next turn. I guess it makes you less vulnerable to combo in the long run.
Yeah, he might have wanted to save the Loatheb for next turn because he knows his opponent can't kill him with combo this turn.
Yeah. Yep, which is a good point. Nemexion killing off the beast, respecting the kill commands that may be in Henrik's hand. So the difference between life and death there, if kill command is in Raikon's hand, Raikon's hand.
Okay, I think this turn you have to play the Loatheb to, well,
if
not
you are
necessarily.
respecting the combo.
Yeah, I don't think you need to at the your opponent has 2 cards, right? And if you play Loatheb, I don't know that you're necessarily... Yeah, and this... I like this play a lot. If you kill off his guy, then...
Yeah,
that's the
I think it's the play to win, right? You know, Loatheb gets cleared really easily. High main, you're not going to kill a high main. Like, I mean, it's very difficult to kill a high main right now for Novixian, so...
He does
like the
die to combo, but it's one of those situations where like your opponent has 3 cards. If he has combo, then okay, he has combo.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely have to make this play. I think play to win. If you play Loatheb, you're like, okay, I prevent myself from dying to combo for 1 turn and then die the next turn anyways. So yeah, I like getting the high main out there now and forcing him to deal with it or die. I guess he's not completely dead, depending on how many minions he plays, because he can hero power, go up to 10 health. And then Unleash the Hounds is only 1 right now, plus high main, that's 7, that's 9. But I guess with the second minion in play, you can't really skip out on playing the second minion. Like, you've got to win.
Yeah, again,
So.
It's like playing around Unleash, right?
Yeah. You can't really play around anything at this point. As the Druid player, you just got to hope that the Hunter player has no damage, but... Unfortunately, we know he does, and looks like Raikon's gonna take a win here.
I was hoping for the Knife Unleash. I had the mana for it.
Well, it seems like these
Players
guys.
never. These players are too well mannered. I'm filing a complaint.
We're showing a bit of respect towards each other. They're both throwing out the well played. The Hunter takes the win this time against the Druid, as we saw the opposite earlier this evening. But yeah, that's going to even up the series so far. 1-1.
Yep, with Raikon taking one now. Kazi being up, as we've seen in the CSL article, as well as the previous couple times we've seen him play. Kazi favors a tempo mage type of deck, a tempo deck, and certainly mage, comes to mind with Paladin and Hunter being played. So, will we see a tempo mage, and then will we see Berkeley counter that? Because Berkeley, they were actually the second place finisher in CSL's spring Hearthstone tournament. There was not, a full season of Hearthstone, but there was a tournament. So Berkeley pretty high up there, and I'd expect them to pick something up that would do well against a tempo mage.
Right. Yeah, definitely. I mean, I would hope so, at least.
So getting into game here, we do see indeed Kazi once again playing that tempo mage, and we'll have to see if that's going to start biting him. Just being that predictable for your opponent and always playing the same kind of decks.
Mm-hmm. But then again, if it's a deck you're super comfortable with, your opponents are probably going to learn to fear it because you've done well with it and you understand the deck. So we've got Pierce playing Demon Lock, it looks like. Definitely a deck that's picked up in popularity over these last few months. More so than something like Handlock, like traditional Handlock. It's got the power of Voidcaller along with Mal'Ganis, Doomguard, Lord Jaraxxus, whatever else you decide to throw in there.
Yeah, it gives you a couple more options early on, which is the nice thing.
Mm-hmm.
You're not just sitting there letting your opponent hit you in the face and you're drawing. So if you don't get your Moltons and your taunt, then you're like half dead by the time you can actually play any threats. So having those early threats out is definitely nice.
Right, and there we see one now. Voidcaller drawn off the top. Definitely what Pierce wanted to see here. As we do have players subbed in. Pierce is subbing in for Yifeng. So, yep, we see that.
And the other thing to mention is that it allows you to, have a reasonable play. Like a Voidcaller, like here, right? He didn't have a mountain, but if he had the mountain, he would not be able to play the owl, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then also if he had a Twilight, then playing the owl reduces his Twilight's health. So, Voidcaller's sort of that nice card that you can just play out, and it's pretty annoying to deal with as well because your opponent's like, do I kill it?
Yeah.
Not kill it.
Yeah, it definitely leads to some tough choices. There's always the chance that your opponent's just bluffing. They're like, hey man, I dare you to kill this. And then you kill it and then nothing happens. And then they're like, they say sorry, like they're apologizing to themselves. And then you say well played and you're happy and you move on. But then there's those guys who say thank you as Mal'Ganis pops into play. You just never know. You never know whether they're bluffing or they actually have it. So...
yeah, crazy strong turn here for Pierce. He's got the Voidcaller out, gets the Doomguard out as well, kills off the Azure Drake. So now aboard an 8/8, a 3/2, and a 5/3. This is not that easy to deal with.
Yeah, massive board here. I can imagine the thing you want to do here as Kazi is probably coin out the Dr. Boom and hope to salvage up some of the board for yourself. But then again, it's not that great. Dr. Boom straight up dies to the Mountain Giant, but you will be able to deal with that at some point. You could also weave in these Sorcerer's Apprentice along with this Flame Waker to get some sick combos going, like with this Frostbolt. You get a lot of procs off the Flame Waker here, and hopefully affects the board in some good ways. Yep, Kazi showing his experience with the deck. Gonna make this play.
bad. You know, obviously he would like to kill off the Doom Guard, but at 5/2, if he wants to kill off the Flameworker, he would need a Dark Bomb or having to trade in his Doom Guard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, Pierce has a great option, but is it that great of an option? I mean, I'm looking at Hellfire here. It kills your opponent's board, but it kills your own. Um, Looks like he might opt to just trade Doomguard and then Mortal Coil. Mortal Coil first, of course. Let's see what we draw. Good operations here.
Order of operations.
Yeah,
Alright.
definitely played that well. Saving the Hellfire for some time later. Next is Champion Sarad, a card that has picked up popularity in these Tempo Mage decks, as it does give you some reach later in the game. Gives you some spells which have synergy with Sorcerer's Apprentice and Flamewaker, of course, Mana Worm as well.
Yeah, I like the Sarad here. It allows you to kill off the Mountain Giant. You can also, of course, see, you know, if you get a 1-mana spell, maybe you... does... Oh, whoa.
Opts not to play the Eye for an Eye. I think that's fine.
Yeah.
What is that really going to do here? You know, he's got Archmage in his deck probably. He's probably got another Mana Worm, another Flamewaker. I like the choice to save it.
Yeah, more just to at least have a pause there to think about it, right? As opposed to immediately just going for it.
Well, you know, maybe Kazi's just super confident here. He knows he's like, all right, 1-mana spell, saving it. Or he could have, you know, I guess also worth considering, like he could have put it into play, mind games to his opponent, like, what if this is a Repentance and my guy's health gets lowered to 1? What if it's a Noble Sacrifice and he screws up my attacks? Things like that.
I think it would have been, you know, good to play, right? Because the Nexus there, you're afraid of, you know, maybe if you owl it, you're going to have to leave it up or it's going to get redemptioned. All kinds of things could happen.
Mm-hmm.
But
Seems like a solid option here is just to play Dr. Boom, Eye for an Eye. Looks like he's going to take a look at a couple more options here with his Arcane Intellect. Unstable Portal. Whoa, Harrison Jones for 2 mana. Assuming Lord Jiraxis is in this Demon Lock deck, which there's a very good chance it is, Kazi might just end up saving this Harrison for the late game and completely blowing out his opponent, depending on whether or not... Okay, I was just like, wow, this is a legendary card. You could see the wing on the side there, but it is a Mal'Ganis, not Jiraxis.
Yeah, it's, I don't know if I like that play last turn. You know, Dr. Boom is just such a strong play.
Mm-hmm. And as a Tempo Mage player, you do like to get a solid board presence, but maybe Kazi's just digging for something at this point, something more. Wants to get a little bit more out of his Dr. Boom, doesn't want it to just die. Here, at least.
He could go for the Flamewaker, Fireball, and Arcane Missiles.
Mm-hmm. There's a reasonable chance that the board gets cleared here.
Okay,
Ooh,
so
2 to the face.
Do you Arcane Missiles or do you just Frostbolt? Okay, he's gonna go for the safer
He could have, well, never mind. I was going to say he could have gone for the Frostbolt on the Twilight Drake and hoped for the 2
Oh.
the 2 triggers hit the Molten Giant, but it is a bit risky. Ooh, the Jiraxis comes into the hand for Pierce. Probably not going to be played here, as he does have a Mountain Giant. Or Molten Giant. You don't want to play Jiraxis until you've already played both your Molten Giants, usually.
Yep.
So I like that choice. And an Argus.
Great Argus value there. Saving his Twilight.
Yep, that is the second Flamewaker down. So no need to worry about those anymore. We've also seen a Fireball and a Frostbolt. So a few burn cards you can consider that you've already seen when you're doing some calculations later on and whether or not your opponent will be able to lethal you. Things like that. Definitely worth taking into account here.
Yeah, I think a Mirror Entity and a Ping works just fine here.
Mm-hmm. There's a very high chance Mirror Entity gets some solid value at this point in the game. But as we know, there's a Sun Fairy Protector to counteract that if it's played first, of course. Which I assume...
Well, Yeah, I guess
I
it's a
assume it
Dr.
would be
Boom. I was
played.
going to say, if you don't think your opponent has anything, you could play your Giant and then BGH it, but generally you'd expect Tempo Mage to have a Dr. Boom, and some also run Ronin, so if there's, no reason to play it, you might as well save it.
Mm-hmm.
I really want the eye for an eye lethal.
There's a that's the sad thing here. There's a very real chance. I guess it's not sad. It's really exciting, right? Could this be the first time ever, in like a competitive Hearthstone tournament where someone lethals the other person with an eye for an eye? I wonder if eye for an eye has even like ever been played before in a competitive tournament, like in a competitive game of Hearthstone. Like who knows? Nobody expects that, right? Like eye for an eye.
Oh, he doesn't have... He needs the Arcane Missiles and kill off the BGH. And then that doesn't even... Yeah, I don't...
Yeah, this is a tough call for sure. I definitely like that he made that Mountain Giant BGH play last turn. Definitely just taking the reins and saying, hey, I'm in control here. I'm setting up lethal for next turn. What do you have? Like you're a tempo mage. You don't play polymorph. You've already played a fireball. How are you going to deal with my giants? So I like that decision. Definitely pays off for Pierce here. And yeah, he had some really strong turns.
Okay. Yeah, it's the same. I was going to say he could play the Hellfire too, but going for the Draxes, poor Harrison.
Yeah, the Harrison just sitting there, just saying, he's saying to himself, like, that really belongs in a museum, and he just can't. He just can't do it. He can't get there and destroy the weapon. Oh, unfortunate for Mr. Harrison Jones. He arrived from the unstable portal. But there you go. Pierce is going to take it for the gold for Grizzlies. They'll move up 2-1 now over the Banana Slugs.
Yeah, the Banana Slugs lost their first 2 series that we have broadcasted, so hopefully they might be able to win this one. You don't really want to be that team that gets broadcasted all the time and doesn't win their games, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, maybe there's some justification here, like sometimes I've thought to myself, man, if only someone else saw how unlucky I got this game, like I'll be playing on ladder or something and then like something terrible will happen. I'll be like, does anyone see this? Like looking around and there's nobody around. Like it's sad,
Guys, anybody? Hello?
It's like, your opponent gets that 1 out of 8 shot with Ragnaros for lethal and you're just like, hello, anybody? You post it on Reddit so that there's at least some people to sympathize, but yeah. We don't want that to happen to the Banana Slugs, but at least people can see what happens. So it looks like we are getting a game here. We're gonna have Prowo on Priest versus Blue Thing playing Paladin.
Indeed.
We didn't already see both Paladins, did we, this series? That was the last one, wasn't it?
We had a Paladin mirror matchup in the first series.
Okay.
So...
Just making sure. I think we're good.
Yeah.
Solid start from Prowo here. Looks like he will be the infamous Dragon Priest.
Just flipping the scores here.
Okay. Yep, as we do get this figured out. So far we've had some decent early game plays. Both players have had some decent plays here. We've had Northshire Cleric on turn 1, followed by a coin shielded mini bot from the Paladin, and then a Wormrest agent on turn 2 for the Priest, and then a Knife Juggler from the Paladin.
Yeah, unfortunately I can't see the Priest's hand at the moment. Need to get that sorted out. But it's a Dragon Priest, you know. But there's not much you need to see here.
I mean, I guess, but he does have an interesting card in his deck. He has a Light Bomb, which isn't that popular in these priest decks, but then again, you can just play it for the element of surprise, or a few other reasons. I mean, it's pretty good against the Secret Paladin decks in general, because a lot of the time they do get a pretty big minion in play, and Light Bomb deals with not only the big minion, but their smaller minions as well, a lot of the time, while usually not killing your minions. There are lots of cards in this priest deck that do not have equal attack as they do health, so Light Bomb doesn't kill your own guys, but it does kill a lot of your opponents. I mean, I guess sometimes it does kill your own guys.
I think it's worth it, you know, depending. Like, generally it works out in your favor, otherwise it's a pretty silly card to have.
Yep. But then again, as Dragon Priest, sometimes you just get ahead on board and it ends up not doing too much. But then again, if you're ahead on board, you're probably doing alright anyways. Solid curve so far from Prowo, and also a solid curve from Blue Thing. These players are kind of neck and neck right now when it comes to fighting for the board.
Probably want to kill off the cleric here with the mini bot.
Yeah, that seems reasonable to me. And then possibly play the muster for battle to kill off the Blackwing Technician in combination with your Secret Keeper. Then again, that doesn't use all of your mana, so opting for the Piloted Trader here I think is definitely fine. Ooh, Ghostface with the shielded mini bot as well. I would have liked to see that trade into the Northshire Cleric, because this way, you know, the Blackwing Technician can trade into your shielded minibot, and then it can get healed for a draw. Then again, this does get some damage on your opponent if you're just trying to be really aggressive, which, you know, as the aggro or as the Secret Paladin in this matchup, that tends to be what you're doing. Trades in the Avenged Procs. Yeah, it goes onto the shielded mini-bot. Holy Nova's not going to accomplish too much here. It could draw 2 cards and deal a little bit of damage. But from my perspective, I think I just like the Azure Drake, throwing it down, drawing a card. Maybe it survives. You get spell damage next turn. Could work some magic with that.
I think I agree here. You could go for the Dark Cultist heal play as well. But it doesn't really heal anything out of range. It would just be for the card draw, which you might as well get with the Azure Drake here as well, right? You kind of get a nice trade on the 3-1 with the Shredder. So force your opponent to sort of trade into you.
Yeah, definitely. Most of her battle looks pretty solid here. Definitely in an aggressive poise right now, as the Secret Paladin player.
You have to get rid of that 3-1 just so your Shredder isn't, you know, terribly sad.
I mean, I would also like to see some more trades here, namely the shielded minibot into the Azure Drake and the Piloted Shredder into the Northshire. I think, man, if you leave this Azure Drake up, you're leaving up spell damage. Holy Nova and Light Bomb are some really scary potential plays from Prowo. But just keeping up the aggression, not playing the shielded minibot. He understands he's already pretty committed on this board, so he's at least playing around board clears a little bit, while also attempting to finish him off.
And the Holy Smite.
Wow, Holy Smite, that's kind of a throwback card. You don't see that as often nowadays, but seems like it's a nice inclusion with a bunch of aggro. Definitely where that card shines against aggro matchups. Also drew a couple cards, or 1 card off Holy Nova. Yeah, just 1.
Yeah, he couldn't he couldn't get the Azure Drake damaged first, since he had to kill off the thing that came out of the Shredder, so...
Ooh. Definitely not the result you're looking for off of this Murloc Knight.
Well, it leaves your Murloc Knight at 4, so it's in that save Happy Priest range. But, you know, other than that, the Azure Drake can't just kill it for free. That's another potential consideration.
Yeah. Yeah, that is true. But it being a 1/1 does die really easily to Northshire Cleric. I'm sure Blue Thing would have been really happy to see something like what's the legendary Old Murkai, or you know, something a little bigger, maybe something
there's
Spirit
the War
Walker.
Leader.
Yeah, that would have been very solid as well. Grimscale Oracle, the saddest card in Arena, as I think it is the least drafted card in Arena. Probably least played card in Hearthstone. That poor thing.
Probably not, right? There's Wisps, there's Target Dummies.
Yeah, but Wisp is a 0-mana 1/1. That guy's a 1-mana 1/1.
Yeah, but if people are playing a Murloc deck, right? You know, there's always got to be people that are trying to, you know, come up with the next OP Murloc deck. So
Yeah, that's true. You got me. You gotta stuff in as many Murlocs as possible. Get the Wombo combo going, especially with old Murkai, you know.
yeah, gotta play Neptulin. Have to get in the Taurine Chieftain. Get more Murlocs.
Might be going a little too deep here. Anyways.
All of the Murlocs.
We've got an Avenge proccing now for Blue Thing, going on to the Mysterious Challenger, which there is no Shadow Word Death right now, but there is a Vol'jin, which is extremely powerful right now. We're going to see the Velen's Chosen on the Northshire Cleric, and Vol'jin does come down onto this this Mysterious Challenger.
Oh, wait, does that... Oh,
Yeah.
okay. That's interesting.
Still a pretty strong Vol'jin, even though, of course, it does get lowered to 1 health, which I did forget about for whatever reason. I was thinking that was a competitive spirit in play, but Repentance doing its job here. Light's Justice will be able to take care of the Vol'jin, but Blue Thing's sitting at a somewhat precarious life total.
Yeah, unfortunately, Murloc Knight number 2 not really able to pull out the good Murlocs either.
Yeah, these guys are some pretty unimpressive Murloc Knights. Probably weren't that high ranked in the Murloc army.
He's got 9 damage. Almost lethal. With the Velens and Holy Nova.
Or, wait, spell damage?
But he can clear his opponent's board and leave him at 1 health, so I think that's okay.
It is lethal, isn't it? Because it's spell damage +1. It's 3 damage off the Holy Nova.
4.
Ooh, I think he just missed lethal, but it should be okay anyways. Yeah, that was exactly lethal.
Oh, yeah. No, it was 1 more than lethal?
Oh, does he have another? He already has another Velen's Chosen on, doesn't he? Okay, yeah, that was actually 1 more, you're right.
Okay.
Oh.
Just gonna...
Blue Thing accepts.
No, he's like, yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm done. It's okay.
Sorry, he doesn't even concede. He just smacks his face into the Twilight Well. Dies a noble death to a 1-mana minion. That was interesting. That's gonna tie up the series now, isn't it? 2-2. This is gonna be the deciding game coming up next between these 2 colleges, which could definitely be rivals. I mean, University of California, Santa Cruz, and University of California, Berkeley. Banana Slugs versus Golden Fur Grizzlies, you know. I like the names. I like the rivalry. You know, if there isn't a rivalry, we can at least pretend there's one, right?
There has to be. I mean, they're both University of Californias, and I think Santa Cruz has a lot to prove here. You know, generally Berkeley is considered the better college in general, but also Santa Cruz, having lost, you know, their first 2 series that have been broadcast, Berkeley being sort of second in that first tournament of CSL, I think Santa Cruz, the Banana Slugs, they died to an eagle the first time around. And then on Wednesday, what was the other team they were playing against? They died to some other former creature, and now they're up against the Bears. Potentially, more formidable than the eagle and whatever it is, and
Yeah. I mean, bears are pretty scary, especially if you're just a slug. Like that's definitely an uphill battle in terms of beating a bear as a slug in a fight. But yeah, I mean, we'll see. They can do it, right? Like, there's definitely a chance here. We'll see what classes they bring to the table. As we do get this next match set up, should be pretty interesting. It is the deciding game once again. It is tied up 2-2 right now. And we'll see who takes it home.
Yeah, and just to kind of remind you guys of what classes have been played, for the Santa Cruz Banana Slugs, we've got Paladin, Hunter, Mage, and Priest. So pretty much all the strong, standard classes have been played. There is the questionable mid-range Patron Warrior or a Control Warrior. Otherwise, there would be what? There is Shaman, Rogue, Warrior, Warlock. Probably be one of the stronger decks that we could see. On the other hand, Mage, Druid, Warlock, and Paladin being played for Berkeley, so I would expect to see a Hunter, and I totally forgot about the Druid.
Yeah, there was Druid played. I want to see a Rogue versus a Shaman in this last match, but I doubt we'll see it.
Yeah,
looks
actually,
like the players.
The overlay shows a Rogue versus Shaman.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's hopeful. Looks like we're gonna see, wow, the reverse of what we saw earlier. Oreo Blaster on Druid versus Dratnos on Hunter, and Oreo Blaster is golden as the Druid player, whereas both the other times tonight we've seen the golden Hunter. But the tables have turned now. We'll see who takes it this time. Looks like Dratnos is going to be playing a Face Hunter, while Oreo Blaster is playing a more traditional, combo Druid.
I like the coin animal here. You could always play the Scientist Hero Power on turn 4. And it's a stronger body. And the Mishra also protects the Worgen Infiltrator, which can then unstealth and go in for 2 damage. So,
yep.
I like the play there.
Yeah, companion into companion. You can't really go wrong with that line of play. It's very potent. Looks like Oreo Blaster's deciding what to Wrath. Even if you trade off your Darnassus Aspirant this turn, you can still okay, yeah, this is really good, actually. Wrath for 3, Hero Power to finish it off. Darnassus Aspirant kills off the Worgen Infiltrator. You save your Aspirant, and you save your Wild Growth, your Innervate, I mean. And you're still good to go on that Druid of the Claw next turn.
Man.
Hover, probably not what Dratnos wanted to see here.
Yeah. That's a shame, really.
Make sure to play the Druid of the Claw first, of course, because if he doesn't, he would be 1 mana short, so...
Yeah, things looking pretty good for Dratnos, but... Oh, sorry, things looking pretty good, on board for Oreo Blaster. Like, he sort of managed to deal with all of the early threats that Hunter put out, but his hand now looking pretty awkward. With combo, the, middle... I'm on turn 5 and I have a Wild Growth, and I don't know what I want to do with it.
Yeah, that's definitely a really awkward spot for it, but the rest of his hand does look pretty solid, and maybe if he does get some damage onto his opponent here, he could use Innervate and combo to push for a lot for lethal at some point. A solid hand for Dratnos, I would say. You can't really complain about double kill command plus some beast to activate it. Yeah, double kill command.
The silence the silence is fine here. You're not really gonna... If you're just going face, you don't really have any better targets that you want to silence.
Well, there's a potential for Ancient of War, which would make you pretty sad if you've already used your Iron Beak Owl. So I think that's something Dretnos is considering here. But he opts to just play the board, play by what he sees here, hopes his opponent doesn't have that Ancient of War. And even if he does, double kill commands 10 damage from the hand, plus some hero powers. Oreo Blaster's on a really fast clock here. And he might not realize it either. I mean, double kill command is some high burst damage from hand. So, but then again,
is he dead if he plays Boom? Well, he's gonna clear, right? So he's gonna be fine.
Yeah, he would be 1 away from being dead, I'm pretty sure, because Unleash would be 5 or Kill Command would be 5, so no matter how you slice it, that's 10 plus 4 on board. But I was also just considering, depending on what Dratnos does this next turn, he could just die from Oreo Blaster's burst damage, so...
Definitely.
Wow, I mean,
this
these
is like
players...
the first game. We're kind of closing out the same way that we opened, right? With the Hunter versus Druid, and once again, you see the Hunter really just beating down onto the Druid's health, but with that Innervated hand, never mind about the Innervate in hand that I was talking about.
Well, I think, opting to do this... Wild Growth? He just played a Wild Growth.
Oh, okay, I see.
But I think opting to do this means you want to have the option to innervate your combo, but you also want to get this Wild Growth in play and Hero Power. So instead of innervating the last turn and then not being able to combo this turn, he leaves himself a few options depending on what Dratnos does, which I think is completely acceptable. Instead of fully committing one way or the other, he's weighing his options here. He decides he has another turn at least, so he'll take his time, play the Wild Growth, and then if he needs to heal, he'll heal. Or if he has lethal with combo, he'll just kill his opponent. Yeah, Dratnos trying to set up his own lethal, but Oreo Blaster's gonna say nope. I've got Innervate combo here, assuming he sees it.
Don't play Savage Roar first. You can play Innervate first in this case. There's enough mana crystals for that.
So I think the decision to save Innervate last turn definitely paid off here. I think a lot of people might have innervated the Lore or the Boom immediately, but Oreo Blaster opting to save it and weigh his options, and he's going to take it home for his team. I mean, he does hit lethal there. Well played by him. The Banana Slugs are taking a series tonight. Congrats to them.
Yeah, and finally, congratulations to the Banana Slugs. They have finally won their series. Very well played. And that will be the Druid once again taking the game versus Hunter.
Yep, we saw Druid win twice, I believe, and then Hunter win once in all the times that this matchup came up tonight. So interesting. I would think it would normally go the other way, but we did see some pretty intense games.
I think it was, does Druid pick up combo, yes or no? And that basically called the whole game.
Yeah, so that was a really interesting series. Happy the Banana Slugs took it home, and hope to see more of them in the future.
Actually, this all worked out. The Secret Paladin lost, but the Banana Slugs won.
I guess that's true.
Actually, both Paladins lost. The first series we had mid-range versus mid-range, so it's okay. It didn't really matter which one won. And then the two Secret Paladins that were played by University of California's didn't win. So I'd say it's a good night of matches.
Yeah. We didn't see any warriors tonight either. 0 warriors.
Yes,
it was
none of that crazy mid-range patron nonsense.
Yeah, it was all Druid, all Hunter, Priest, Paladin. In fact, was that it? What else? Warlock. There was one Warlock, right?
Yeah.
Wow. Not a whole lot of diversity seen tonight, but still pretty interesting. We'd like to thank everyone for watching tonight. This is sponsored by Blizzard and Twitch, brought to you by those two. And we hope you guys have enjoyed. Once again, I am Nomo Dogan. And Lucia, would you like to say anything?
Nope, I am Lucia, and yeah, if you guys are enjoying the cast, don't forget to give us a follow, and of course you can also follow C Star League or CSL Hearthstone to catch our games. Generally, the broadcast schedule is pretty much set. We will be broadcasting on Wednesdays at 6 Pacific and on Fridays at 7 Pacific, so if you want to catch more Hearthstone action, come back and check us out during those times. Other games are being broadcast as well if you want to go ahead and just check the schedule underneath the broadcast to look for the specific games that you are interested in.
Yep, and I think that'll be it for tonight. So thanks everyone for watching. We'll see ya.